We are going to be giving our MLB brackets for the 2025 postseason today. I've got Jake and Jordan here. They're going to give theirs shortly. And how we're going to do it, we're going to build a little bit of suspense. We're going to give our bracket all the way up until who wins the American League, starting from the wild card, going to the championship series, and same thing in the National League. And then at the end, we'll give our World Series winners. And then that gives us time to build a little bit of suspense and also, give some thoughts on our bracket too. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on my bracket on the American League side. And now we got the sixth seed. So got to focus on that. And oh, by the way, quick note on that because I was curious. I had to look this up today. Because technically, how the NFL used to do it is, say if the sixth seed beats the three seed, that the sixth seed would then go to the one seed. In the MLB, that's not the case. It just follows in the bracket order. So even say if the Tigers beat the Guardians, yeah, Jordan, what you want to interject?
Can I just make a point? Um, I do believe that the one and two seeds, the one seed should get the choice of who they play in their respective division series, whether American League Division Series and National League Division Series. So the one seed should get the pick of who they want to play.
The pick, that's interesting. So it's one that the NFL, like I said, they've done it as the lowest seed, but the pick, I think that makes it interesting. But that is not the case. Again, just explaining that. So even if the Tigers were to win, they would still go to the two seed, which in this case would be the Mariners. So just wanted to give an explanation on that because I was curious about that earlier today. But anyways, we will jump into my bracket. So all right, so we will start with the wild card series. I have the Tigers, the six seed, upsetting the Guardians. I have the Red Sox, the five seed, upsetting the Yankees, the four seed in the American League. So two upsets right off the bat. I have the Dodgers beating the Reds in the wild card in the National League. I believe that's 3/6. And then I have the Cubs beating the Padres. The Cubs are the four seed and San Diego's the fifth seed. So that's my wild card. And then moving on to the divisional series, I have the Mariners beating the Tigers. I have Toronto over the Yankees. On the National League side, I have the Phillies over the Dodgers. And then I do have the upset, the Cubs beating their rivals, the Brewers. That would be a letdown for the Brewers. More on that in a little bit. And then in my championship series, AL championship, I have the Blue Jays, the one seed beating the Mariners. And then I have the Phillies over the Cubs in my National League Championship. So just a couple thoughts. And then obviously my World Series will be for later. And first series right off the bat, I think the Tigers rebound. It's been a rough September to say the least for them. But I think when you look at having Tariq Skubal start the first game, I think that's going to make a tremendous impact. I think he's going to be ready to go. He just pitched a game against Cleveland last week where he pitched pretty well, but he did end up giving up like the go-ahead run. I think he's going to be locked in. That helps game one. And then if they win that game, they just have to win one more. So I have the Tigers rebounding. I thought that's something to note. The Dodgers are weaker. I think they should be able to beat the Reds, but I think especially when like the Brewers are a deep team this year, the Phillies are a really deep team this year. The Dodgers, obviously they've got depth, but it just hasn't turned out, especially, they're top heavy. They've got Ohtani, they've got Freddie Freeman, they've got all these guys, but especially later in the lineup, it definitely gets weaker for the Dodgers, and I think that's going to be a problem this postseason. So that's why I have them losing in the divisional series. The Brewers are the unfortunate choke. I'm rooting for the Brewers. They're not my team, of course, but I've got family who are Brewers fans. I want them to get it done. It's just, I got to see it to believe it. I think the Cubs and that's going to be an entertaining series if it does happen. I just need to see if to believe it from the Brewers, if that offense can keep going in October. And then the Blue Jays Mariners, if that's the AL CS like I have it, that's going to be a heck of a series because the Blue Jays fans, from Seattle to Canada is pretty close. They like to travel to Seattle, so that would be interesting if the Mariners tried buying out tickets, making sure people with Canada area codes can't buy tickets. I know the Titans did that in the NFL last time we made the playoffs, so it'd be curious if they do that. But I would look forward to that series as well if it did happen. So those are my picks, my World Series in a little bit. But Jordan, I'll throw it over to you.
All right, so I'm gonna go. National League first, like just in order of the way I have it. Like it's just a random way I decided to do it. But I'm gonna pick the Dodgers over the Reds, 3/6 in the National League. I have the Padres over the Cubs, 5/4 in the National League. Cleveland over Detroit, 3/6 in the American League, and I have the Yankees over the Red Sox. So, I mean, you think maybe the Padres over Cubs upset, but I don't really have an upset in the wild card round. I have the Phillies over the Dodgers in what I think could be the greatest 5 game series of all time. And then I actually have the Padres upsetting the Brewers. I don't even think they make it to the NLCS. Like I believe Evan said I think Evan said no, the Cubs, but I don't even think they make it to the NLCS. And then the ALDS, I have Seattle over Cleveland, and another series I think may be amazing. Blue Jays over the Yankees, setting up an NLCS of Philadelphia, San Diego, and I think the Phillies, win it, home field advantage. And then I think the Mariners make it to the World Series for the first time ever, defeating the Blue Jays in the ALCS.
Yeah, so I have obviously in my wild card, I'm gonna go from wild card here to championship series. So my wild card, the first matchup I got is obviously the Tigers in Cleveland. I'm gonna agree with Evan on this point. Evan, I'm gonna agree with you on this point. I think having Taylor Schwarber start game one is gonna be huge for the Tigers. I think the Tigers end up taking the series. They move on, face the Mariners, and in the other wild card series in the AL, we have Boston, New York. I think Carlos Young starts game one for the Yankees. Yankees go ahead in the series, they never look back. They advance. Um, Cincinnati, LA. I think the Dodgers take care of the Reds easily in the series. Obviously the Reds, they play really well and make postseason, but I think the Dodgers are on a different level than the Reds are right now. So I think the Dodgers take that series easily. Cubs, Padres. You know, I think this might be a back and forth series, like within the games, but I think the Padres end up taking it just because I think they have more firepower on offense than the Cubs do. And then we're gonna go championship, divisional series. I'm sorry. We have the Tigers and the Mariners. I think the Mariners are gonna take this one. I think that the Tigers might start Struble again game one, but I think Seattle's got, obviously the whole big home run hitter in Cal Raleigh. I think he makes a big impact in the series. I think Seattle moves on championship to the championship series in the AL. And then on the other side, we have the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Carlos Young obviously starts again for the Yankees. I think they might win game one, but I think Toronto comes back, moves on to the championship series against Seattle. And then in the NL, LA versus Philly. Think LA. I think it's going to be a great series. I just think LA comes out on top to move on to the NL Championship Series. And then on the other side, the Padres and the Brewers. I think the Brewers are going to come into the series well rested. I think they're going to try to make a statement, try and move on to the championship series, and I think they do. Toronto beat Seattle to advance to the World Series in the AL, and LA beats the Brewers to advance to the World Series in the NL. So that's what I have.
I find it interesting. Jordan has the Mariners making the World Series, but we all have the same ALCS. I think that's pretty cool. I think this bracket, and we were talking a little bit about this beforehand, like I had to do mine 3 times. Like it was, I, I was like, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. But
Yeah,
really,
it's really a toss-up.
it's a toss up, but we've been talking about this all season. The Astros, for example, are a team who, has made the playoffs every year since 2017. They're not in it this year. The Dodgers aren't the powerhouse that they normally are. Like this is, there's a couple familiar faces like the Phillies, for example, but this is a wide open playoffs, and I think that's what makes it fun, of course, but that's what makes it very tough to predict. So we may be
Yeah.
coming back and laughing on these predictions. A month from now or not, or maybe you guys might be taking us for more sports advice if we nail it. But all right, time
Maybe
for
my pick
world.
ends up winning the World Series.
Right, yeah. I mean, like if you get a perfect bracket, people are gonna be tuning in for sure. We'll have to
Asking
get
me
that
for
message
lottery
out.
numbers and stuff.
Yeah. So, all right. So, World Series, man. Who's going to win the World Series? The suspense is over. I had in my World Series the Phillies and the Blue Jays. I do have the Phillies winning. I believe last time we were talking baseball last week, Jordan, I know who is not a fan of the Philadelphia Phillies, was
Not
saying
at all.
it is time for them to put up or shut up. I think they're deep. I love their pitching staff. We'll see if they can actually do it, but in my bracket, I have the Phillies over the Blue Jays winning the World Series. Jordan, do the Mariners win it all, or what do you got on yours?
All right. Um, so as I've mentioned, I've got Seattle making the World Series for the first time ever, and I've got the Phillies making the World Series for the second time in I believe 4 seasons. Phillies pitching staff is great. Great team. However, there's just something different about this Mariners team. I just don't know what it is. So I think the Mariners get their first ever ring. Believe it, I'm going to go with Cal Raleigh hitting the game-winning homer in Game 7 in Philadelphia. Um, all that he gets a statue of his the big dumper nickname, all that stuff, and he's hailed a hero in Seattle. Seattle. So I think the Mariners win the World Series.
I would love nothing more
Honestly,
than
how
that. Well, wait, Jake, I was just going to say quick. I would love nothing more than that for Phillies fans to witness that. Cal Raleigh, him the go-ahead home run in Philly, because you know how ruthless those fans can be. I would like to
I
see
think
that.
it. I think that World Series would go to a Game 7, and it'd be absolutely hilarious if he hits a go-ahead homer in the ninth inning of Game 7.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Jake. All right,
That would
who's
be
your
the
winner?
best thing ever.
I think no matter who you have in the World Series, I think the series goes to 6, 7 games. I think that all of these teams are talented enough, to take whatever team they face to 6 or 7 games in the World Series. So I think it would be a good series no matter who's in the World Series. But for my pick, I have obviously the Blue Jays and I have the Dodgers in the World Series. Obviously the Blue Jays have some very good pitching, have some very good offense as well. Vladimir Guerrero, in that 3 hole, George Springer leading off, Alejandro Cook behind the plate. I just think, I just think the Dodgers lineup is too deep. I think that they really are going to be a problem for most teams in this postseason. So with that being said, I have the Dodgers over the Toronto Blue Jays winning the World Series.
You
And
know,
I
it,
know that might upset some people because the Dodgers win too much, people say, but I think that this team is just still
you know,
loaded.
can I just say something? I'm not sure I quite like this episode because Evan has the Phillies winning the World Series and Jake has the Dodgers winning the World Series. So can I just say I just don't like this segment very much.
Well, you know
Hey,
what?
at
I would
least
have the Marlins. I would have the Marlins winning the World Series if we make it. So I don't know what you want me to do.
I'm going with something new. Come on now. Dodgers, yuck. But hey, it's probably a good bet if we're being honest. But
Honestly, probably, yeah.
I mean, I think it's going to be either the Phillies or Dodgers in the World Series from the National League. So I think
Yeah,
I got.
probably, definitely.
I think I'm actually the one that got the World Series matchup right.
I'm not giving up on the Brew Crew. I'm trying to pick with my head and not my heart because usually when you
Okay.
pick with this it lets you down and you get an embarrassing bracket. So
Well,
I'm trying not to do that. Yeah.
what really lost me on the Brewers when it comes to the postseason is I just remember the series against Atlanta in 2021 where I'm like they just did not score.
Yeah. Oh, I remember
To
that
the World
series too.
Series.
Yeah. That only went to
That's
four,
what
I think,
lost
Evan,
me
right?
with the Brewers.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
hey, Evan, neither do I. I'm not giving up on Milwaukee either. That's why I have them making it all the way to the championship series. I think they fall short, but have them making it all the way.
yeah, I mean, you know what? Evan and I were talking about this. So you could make 12 different brackets with 12 different winners and still not be confident on who's going to win the World Series.
That's how I feel with this bracket. And there's not a lot of teams. It's just a lot of, I love it. It's you got the Blue Jays, you've got the Mariners, you've got the Brewers, you've got even the Cubs have been competing, but it's been a little bit. These are new players on that team. You know, you've got the Reds. I know we barely talk about them because they have to face the Dodgers right away, but you've got so many new faces that it could get interesting quick. Yeah.
Can, can I just say, as a Braves fan, I really hope it's not the Cubs and Yankees in the World Series.
Oh gosh.
You know what? I
Yeah.
don't think it ever. I really do not think that it will ever be the Cubs and the Yankees in the World Series.
I
I
hope
think the Yankees
I
might make
definitely
it, but
hope
I don't
not.
think the Cubs would
I definitely
really
hope not.
make it that far the same year that the Yankees. You know, like obviously the Cubs have enough star power to go that far, but like to get the Cubs and the Yankees on the same track every year, I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't put it past Major League Baseball. You know, like it's two of the biggest markets. If they wanted to, rig it, I'm sure they could. You know, two of the biggest markets, Yankees and Cubs, if they wanted to do that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
would
mean,
just
it seems
I'm
like it
well
happens in.
well I was just gonna
Sorry,
say
Evan, go ahead.
let me think about how would you rig it? How would you
I mean,
um you would just have to go something with the umpire. You would have to just say
yeah,
be heavy on the balls or
but
something like
umpires are
that. Yeah.
bad as it is.
Yeah, right. But I'm just saying like you would have to like give a memo being like, hey, this is what the strike zone is gonna look like for today. You guys better follow this down to a T. So again, I'm not someone who personally believes in all that stuff, but just for fun to throw it out there how they would rig it, yeah, it would have to be the home plate umpire saying expand this zone or shrink this zone or
Or, or I mean,
Kind of.
if things go to replay, because I think the replay system's in New York, so maybe that they help the Yankees out. But I'm like, I just don't know.